We could talk all day about Star Wars. In fact, there are probably college courses that are being developed in some curricula just about the music of Star Wars. That is how widely studied this topic has become. We don't have time, of course, to talk about every aspect of the Star Wars score, but we will talk about some of the important elements, much of which we've already touched on, but we will look at some concrete examples. There's a wonderful quote from Spielberg. He said, "We do not wonder, weep, or believe without the compositions of John Williams." I think what he means by that, the wondering and weeping, of course, composers are, a skilled composer is going to be able to emotionally manipulate the audience. That is what music is intended to do often in cinematic music or theatrical music, especially in opera, musical theater, that sort of thing. But the last part is especially interesting. We do not wonder, weep, or believe. What Spielberg is saying here, which I think so many of us are familiar with, is that Williams' score helps with the suspension of disbelief. In other words, no matter how far-fetched the action playing out on screen is, the score, the music, makes it seem so real to us. And nowhere is that more apparent than in the Star Wars score, in the galaxy far, far away. Because of the incredible scope of the Star Wars franchise, and even if we go back to the late 1970s, we can only imagine the look on John Williams' face as George Lucas pitched him the story. This is a story of staggering scope. And of course, it only grew with the prequel trilogy that was scored by John Williams starting in the late 90s. And then, of course, the sequel trilogy in the 2010s, also scored by John Williams. So he has had much of his career devoted, I think, to writing music for the Star Wars franchise.